Hello everybody and welcome to the Money Shift YouTube channel. This is another episode of the Maverick Files. I'm your host Thanasi, and today we are going to be doing a full overview review of the Lariat Luxury Package Hybrid Ford Maverick. Now this review is going to be a bit different than some others that you've seen on this vehicle. I myself have put over 8,000 miles on a gasoline all-wheel drive Maverick and over 1,200 miles on a front-wheel drive hybrid Maverick. So I have a pretty good opinion on which one is better for your specific purpose, but also just how these cars differ. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to do a walk around to the outside, a brief overview of the interior, and then we're going to go on a drive. We're going to take it on some back roads, take it on some highway, take it on some around the town, and then we're going to give some final thoughts as to how these two machines compare and which one you should buy. But without further ado, here are the keys. As always, please bring it back in one piece.
All right. $32,000 is how much this Maverick Hybrid Lariat was, and while we're going to be doing an in-depth Lariat Lux package overview in the coming weeks, let's do a walk around and show you what the Lariat gives you. Unique headlights, unique grille bar trim, unique grille, adaptive cruise, and because this is a non-FX4 front-wheel drive model, we don't get tow hooks, we instead get these covers to improve aerodynamic efficiency. As we round our way to the side, the Lariat gives you these wonderful looking alloys wrapped in these Michelins that are 225/60 R18, nice and meaty, which gives you a more comfortable ride as we hit the inevitable pothole in a winter in New England. Now, there's a consistent theme here with the Lariat, and that is that there are a number of small tweaks that combine to make this car just look a lot more premium than the $19,995 base XL Maverick. From that electronic sliding rear window to the unique LED rear tails to the parking sensors to the unique LEDs in the front, the unique grille, the wheels, all of that combines to just give this Maverick a more premium appearance. And as we make our way through the keyless entry of the Lariat Maverick, we are presented with a synthetic leather that is brown on blue. Now, this is the only option available for the Maverick Lariat, and in my opinion, that does kind of limit you to what color you can choose with a brown interior. Now, as we make our way to the inside, a couple things that make a Lariat luxury package a Lariat luxury package. Number one, Sync 3. It is more vibrant. It gives you satellite XM radio, and it just offers more functionality than the traditional XL, XLT, or Lariat systems. We get a Bang & Olufsen audio, and we get heated seats, heated steering wheel, heated mirrors, dual zone climate, which we love, power start, wireless charging, all of that is important. But without further ado, let's get underway. You know the features, you can read a spec sheet, but can you feel how it drives? Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get started on a back road. So she's in sport. As you can see there by the drive mode, it forces the engine to stay on as you're driving in sport. Now, what are the things we notice as we get up to speed here in the Maverick Hybrid? Number one, even though this has 191 quoted horsepower, it certainly does not feel slow. The electric motor works in tandem with the gas to give you a nice surge of torque coming out of a corner or from a light. It really brings this thing up to speed quite quickly. Number two, the difference in rear suspension setup compared to a Maverick all-wheel drive makes this vehicle feel a lot more bumpy and more truck-like. Shout out to the torsion rear system. In the name of efficiency, Ford also brought in a little more bumpiness into the cabin. Now, this CVT works remarkably well, and it does a good job at modulating the power needed and the engine speed needed to give you the desired sort of increase you're looking for. The steering, while direct, provides no feel. The brake pedal is firm, and there's no weird transition between regenerative and actual brake pad. Ford did a good job at tuning the brake pedal such that it does feel as a one cohesive unit. So overall, what are the thoughts about the Maverick in the backroads portion of this test? Is it a GTI? Is it a Focus RS? No, by no means. This car isn't a Canyon Carver. But that said, it will provide you with a little bit of a smile as you sort of lay into the throttle and really experience the torque that an electric motor or electric power combined with a motor can work in harmony to really surprise you. This thing is snappy, if you will. So overall, good machine. The all-wheel drive vehicle with its multi-link rear suspension certainly is more well poised in the backroads portion, but the Maverick Hybrid holds its own. But we're going to take a right here at the stop sign. Yikes, I said but a bunch. Here we are. Anyway, for those of you playing the drinking game at home for Money Shift, please take a shot after I say the word but, and maybe you'll be tanked by the end of this episode. Anyway, never mind. I don't condone drink. You know, lay back, have some fun. All right, you're going to get up to the highway overpass here. You're going to bang a left, and I want you to nail it. We're going to look at how this thing increases in speed. Now, we might have some traffic ahead of us while we do so, so we won't be able to go from around the town speeds to highway speeds, but that's okay. We'll still be able to get a good sense and feel for how the Maverick Hybrid operates and how it is able to increase in speed. What you'll notice is what we noticed in the backroads portion. This car is not slow. I mean, 200 horsepower isn't fast, but it certainly gets out of its own way, probably better than that Malibu does in front of us. All right, take a left here, and I'll be quiet, and we'll see how it increases in speed. Bang, you just went from 25 to 50 pretty quickly and in short order. So as we get up to highway speeds, what are the things you need to know about the Lariat, especially the Lariat luxury package, in addition to how it compares to the Maverick EcoBoost? So the Lariat luxury package features a lot of things that make highway road tripping easier. Number one, its adaptive cruise control. Number two, its lane keep system that aid you in keeping this car in lane. Now, it's not a Ford Blue Cruise or a Tesla Autopilot, but it does a really good job at maintaining and even steering this car around turns, and it works remarkably well on the highway, and it takes a lot of the stress off of long road trips. Number three, this car features a noise-insulated front windshield, which, although today is very windy, I promise you, does a really good job at minimizing the amount of exterior road noise you hear in comparison to something that does not have that, like an XL or XLT. This really is an improvement to the overall noise and vibrations and overall NVH inside the car. So massive kudos to Ford for putting in that feature. Now, as we go over these expansion joints, you really feel the difference from the Maverick Hybrid to the Maverick EcoBoost, thanks to the change in suspension in the rear. This car, again, I know I said it in the backroads portion, but we're really going to harp on this, all right? It is bouncier than a Maverick all-wheel drive. The multi-link in the Maverick all-wheel drive keeps that car more planted, keeps that car feeling solid over all bumps. Now, as a PSA, this is not me saying the Maverick Hybrid is bumpy and uncomfortable and overall just a bad ride. Both of these vehicles do a remarkable job at eating miles on the highway. But it is important to note, take a shot for those of you still playing the game, it is important to note that the Maverick Hybrid is bouncier. It is important to note that the Maverick Hybrid sits higher. All of these things can make a potential difference when you are interested in either one of these vehicles. When it comes down to making the decision, sometimes the small things like that make the difference. Now, for folks going from a larger truck like an F-150 or above caliber vehicle, you'll feel right at home in this Maverick Hybrid because it shares a lot of qualities with a pickup truck, oddly enough, thanks to that rear suspension design. But for those of you coming out of a sedan, a coupe, or an SUV, you'll definitely feel a little bit bouncier in a Maverick Hybrid versus an EcoBoost all-wheel drive truck, which will feel more planted and more like that sedan, coupe, or SUV that you just got out of. Now, a last thing that I want to note in comparison between the EcoBoost and the Hybrid is the efficiency. Now, for those of you that want a more in-depth look at this, I filmed a video a couple weeks back where I pitted my EcoBoost truck against this Hybrid truck in a 48-mile highway test. But to summarize, The Hybrid saw around 35 miles to the gallon, and the EcoBoost saw around 31. So if you do predominantly highway, the efficiencies that the Hybrid provides aren't as pronounced in this environment as they would be around town. Now, when it comes to noise level of this engine, it is remarkably low. Thanks to the CVT, it really does spin at a low RPM. But let's take this exit and get to the around town portion where the Hybrid truly shines. This is where it comes into its own, especially against the EcoBoost all-wheel drive truck. As speeds reduce, hybrids come into their own, and this car is no different. The transition between gasoline and electric motors is seamless. There's no clunkiness, there's no vibration, there's no change. It just happens. Yes, you hear the noise of the engine spin up or the noise of the engine cut if it is in full electric versus gas, but that transition doesn't bring any added harshness. Early hybrids dealt with something where when the engine would kick on, you would actually feel it. This isn't the case. Ford has done a remarkable job at tuning that out. Now, the other thing that makes the Maverick Hybrid stand out over its EcoBoost all-wheel drive brother is the efficiency that you see around town. It's no secret that hybrids do very well in this around town portion. Now, the reason for that is if you pay attention to that screen right there in front of you, and that is under around town driving, the system is consistently regenerating and relying on electric power to power it unless you're going up a hill like we are now. And what that means is that the pure electric miles traveled increase around town, which again means that the efficiencies that you see are remarkably high. And similar around town portions where I saw 23, 24 miles to the gallon in my all-wheel drive Maverick, I can see over 48, no problem. And again, shout out to this Ford dealership, that's in a pickup truck, folks. We are seeing over 48 mpg. In fact, on some trips, I even touched 60, okay? Now we're going to do an in-depth around town fuel test to see how close to that reading it actually is. But the fact of the matter is it's no secret that the Maverick Hybrid is going to be a lot more efficient around town than the EcoBoost all-wheel drive counterpart. Now, you still notice the slightly bumpier ride. You still notice that this sits a little higher. But thanks to its direct steering, thanks to its electric torque, this thing really does do well around town. And if you're going to be doing a lot of driving, that is where this car comes to play. So, with the backroads portion, the highway portion, and the around town portion out of the way, let's condense this down to some final thoughts. Which Maverick is for you? Should you get the efficient, the crazy Maverick Hybrid, or should you opt for the all-wheel drive Maverick EcoBoost? Well, it depends. Are you going to be routinely towing over 2,000 pounds? Then you're limited. You got to pick the all-wheel drive Maverick. But if you're not, and all things are equal, and you're just commuting, then you really need to ask yourself, what is your commute? Are you going to be doing a lot of highway? Then the Maverick all-wheel drive is probably for you. It's more comfortable, it's more planted, and the efficiency difference, while there, is minimized. Are you going to be doing a lot of around town driving? There's no doubt that the amount of money the Maverick Hybrid will save your wallet is huge. You are seeing differences of nearly 30 mpg in around town environments in the Hybrid versus the EcoBoost all-wheel drive. Now, I know what you're thinking, T, what about winter weather climate? What about those that go where no man has gone before, in the snow? And I'll tell you this, okay? Plenty of folks with Ford Mavericks in the XL get rid of their steel wheels. Multiple sets of steel wheels are usually on Ford Marketplace at any given time. In fact, I've seen them as low as $200. So you can very easily scoop up a set of Maverick XL Steelies with some winter wheels and have no issue. Now, if you're going to be doing off-roading, if you're going to be going in farmland, if you're going to be doing all this stuff, then the all-wheel drive is a natural fit. But if you're going to be just your average Joe commuting around town, I would suggest the Maverick Hybrid. I think while it does have a slightly bouncier ride, and while you do sit a little bit higher, all of that goes away when you look at the difference in efficiency. And going Maverick Hybrid allows you to get more Maverick. In fact, the price that I paid for this model mirrors the price that I paid for my XLT luxury package truck, and the fact of the matter is, there is just so much here. Now, with that being said, folks, we are at the end of this video. If you enjoyed this Ford Maverick content, do not forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps us huge. It helps us big time. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I am Thanasi, your host, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.